All right, I have a question. Does turning down the thermostat in winter save energy? Well, the reason I'm asking this question is because I've heard multiple ideas on both sides, and to me seems like one side says even the professionals say yes, but there is one thing that I see lacking in their studies. Okay, and I don't understand how they can even come up with this conclusion, to be honest. I've looked into, finding a scientific study and could not find anything. So, the reason why I'm doing this is because our gas company sent us a letter home saying that we're using too much gas. And I got really offended. I'm like, no, I don't think we're using too much gas. There's no reason why we should be using too much gas. And basically they started asking me questions like, well, what are you putting your thermostat on? I'm like, well, 72. Well, there you go. Are you turning it down at night to 65? I'm like, no, I would never do that. Well, there's your problem. That's why you're using more gas. And I'm like, first of all, I sweat at night a lot. And if I turn it out that low, anything below 70, I wake up with like cold sores on my lip. And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. I'm like, wouldn't it make more sense if I turned down my thermostat during the day where actually, I'm physically active, I'm heating up, I can wear more clothes, I'm eating, replenishing my heat and everything? Well, no, because during the night you actually are hotter, so you don't. The body gets warmer. Ugh, my phone, whatever, is out of. I don't know why it's. But anyway, so the body gets warmer at night, and I'm like, first of all, that sounded odd for me for her to say that, but I looked it up. I went to a website, a trustworthy website I went to, and I don't even know if I can say their names because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube copyright stuff. But I went to a trusty word, and they say no. The truth is, during the night, you actually can go up, can lose 2 degrees. So you can actually drop 2 degrees, up to 2 degrees at night. When you're sleeping, and it makes sense because you stop eating around whatever 7 o'clock. You're not physically active or anything. You're just under the covers. Of course, it would make sense your temperature would drop. And why would you lower your temperature even more on top of that? And I told her, I was like, well, wouldn't it make sense if like I dropped it down during the day for 65 degrees? I mean, I'm like 16 hours of the day I can drop it down to 65 and then raise it to 72 when I go to bed. Well, that's what the study says and blah, blah, blah. And to me, it doesn't make any sense. And I told her, I said, well, how much should I, don't you think, like, if I drop it down, okay, everything is at 7, let's say I set my thermostat to 70, theoretically, and I drop it down to 65, right? Well, how many hours do I have to leave it down for it to be worth it? Because everything in the house gets cold to 65. Like the couches, all the electronics, the carpet, the air, everything in the house reaches 65 degrees. Right? So how long, and then when you turn back the thermostat up to 70, right? You have to heat up everything in the house to 70. Right? It makes total sense. Oh, yes, that's why you're supposed to do it at least 5 hours. It's not worth it to do it less than that. I'm like, okay, great. And I was saying, talking to this gas company that we're buying gas from, they basically accused us of like being energy hogs, sending us this letter that we're using more energy than our neighbors. And I'm like, well, how do you guys know that? How do you guys pick the houses? It's like, well, we select the houses randomly, and it just so happened that the houses we selected for you makes you it makes you look like you're using more energy. I'm like, okay, well, how do you guys select them? Oh, no, we don't know. It's just the computer selects them randomly. I'm like, okay. And then I was like, but then she told me that, but the studies is not really that good because we don't know how many people live in the house. We don't know how big the house is. And I'm like, well, that makes a big difference. So, like, I told her, I was like, I want you guys to stop sending me this stuff. This is so offensive. It's like, if you guys think I'm using too much gas, then raise everybody's rates. And when you raise everybody's rates, people are going to use less gas because they don't want to pay more for gas. So they're going to do whatever they have to do, and each person decides for themselves how much they want to pay for gas or not. Well, I mean, the way I see it is this, okay? So here's the house, right? Okay? So if you have to heat up this entire space, right? You're not just heating up the air, okay? You're heating up all the furniture in there. Whatever, a TV, you may have a chair, right? I don't know how to draw a chair, okay? You may have whatever, computer, tables, whatever. You have to heat up the whole thing, and everything cools down. So if you're gonna to me, it makes more sense that if here's 70 degrees, right? So basically you're going down a little bit, and then when our thermostat is by 2 degrees. So when it gets down to 68 degrees, it'll come back up, and it'll go like this, and it'll come back up and go like this, come back up and go like this. Now, if you're gonna drop it to 65, okay, from 70 to 65, well, basically, so let's say this is 70 right here. So you're dropping it down to 65, which would be down here somewhere, right? So you're dropping it this way, right? And then you're basically, for a long, long time, right? Actually, even for down here, you're still using a little bit of energy because so when it gets down to 63 with my thermostat, it'll get down and come back up, get down and come back up, get down and come back up. So it wouldn't be a flat line, right? But then when you get home and you have to reheat your home to 70, right? It will go back up here like this, and then continue back down this way like that, whatever. Continue doing this down here. But right here, okay, to heat the home from 65 degrees here, you're not heating just the air around the house, right? You're not heating I mean, if the house was empty, yeah, it would be easier to heat up the house to 60 to 70. You're heating up everything in the house. That you start off with 65 degrees. So you have to heat everything up to in the house to get to 70. And that's where I don't think that these people who do this information, give us this information, they're not doing it right. They're not taking into consideration that everything in the house is like a refrigerator until everything in the house reaches the same temperature, 70 degrees. Then you're back to this. So when you're so basically, let me just continue this line over here. So here's 65, you get up to 70, right? And then you're going down like this, but now you're going down much more times, because all the stuff inside the house is letting out a colder temperature, right? So the heater, the furnace has to kick more times until it finally reaches this, right? So there's no study that I've seen that shows you this, So, I mean, if you guys know a study or something, please give me a link or say something, or I don't know, or I mean, I could be wrong here. I could be wrong because I'm just logically thinking. I remember doing this kind of stuff in high school. How much energy does it take to heat up from 7 to 65 to 70, right? So, and it was interesting because it was talking about maintaining. How much energy does it take to maintain something? So it takes very little energy to maintain something, but it takes more energy to heat something up. Okay? So, and that's the difference is, to me, keeping your thermostat constant is better. Okay? Because you're not allowing all the furniture and everything you have in the house to cool down. You're keeping everything constant. If you're allowing everything down to cool down to 65 degrees, right, at night, then when you go back up to 70, everything has to heat up to 70. Everything. I mean, this plant, these dishes, my cell phone. I mean, everything. This, the floor, the cabinets, everything has to heat up to 70 degrees. And until it does, all the stuff is emitting cold. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of got into it with my gas company. I was a little irritated. I found their letter that they sent me home that I'm a gas guzzler kind of insulting, to be honest with you. So, and I told them never to send me anything like that in the mail again, ever. I mean, if they can't even tell me how they randomly pick the homes around my area to compare me with them, I mean, if they can't even tell me that, why are you sending it to me? Really? So it was so dumb. And obviously, if there's kids in the house, if there's a baby in the house, you want to keep it warmer. You don't want to keep it cold when there's a baby in the house. And they don't take that any in consideration. None of it. I mean, they said they randomly pick 3 homes around my house. And I don't even know which 3 homes they picked. Could be, really small homes. That's the only way they can come up with. Because, and I told them, like, the only thing we did is we replaced a water heater from a 40-gallon to a 50-gallon. I don't think that doing that gives us this. And it's like, we replaced all our windows. All our windows and doors are brand new. So don't tell me that we're using more gas than our neighbors. It was just utterly ridiculous, and I was so offended. But yeah, please, if you show me any kind of whatever scientific studies out there that contradicts this, then please be my guest. I mean, I have an open mind, but to me, it just seems like everybody's just saying, yeah, turn down your thermostat, and like I said, why should I turn down my thermostat to 65 for 8 hours, right? When I could turn it down during the day for 65 for 16 hours. Which one would save you more energy? If you want to get realistic, then to me it's this would save me more energy, not this. I can dress warm during the day. I can put on whatever, thicker clothes. I can put underpants. I can wear a hoodie during the day, and I'll be fine. I'm eating during the day. I have movement during the day. So I have no problem with that, But no. We have to do it because that's what the study says. We have to do this 65 for 8 hours during the night. Well, when you're sleeping. So, which I don't know. Whatever. So, all right. That's it. Over and out. I'd like to hear your comments. I'd like to see some studies, some real studies. Don't post any junk studies. I do not want to hear this junk study. I want to hear a study that gives me this. That the furniture inside the house. Obviously, the more furniture you have inside the house, the more time it's going to take to heat up your house back to 70 degrees. The less furniture, if the room is empty, yeah, it can heat up your house in 15 minutes to 70, from 65 to 70, because there's nothing else to heat up. You're just heating up the walls. And that's it. But when your house is full of stuff, bed, whatever you have, not only is you have to heat up the walls to 70 and the air to 70, but you have to heat up everything else inside. Furniture, bed. Let me draw a bed here. How do you draw a bed? There you go. Is that a bed? Yeah, I guess so. All right. Anyway, that is my conclusion. I'd like to hear your comments. Over and out.